order, and we will begin with roll call. Please, Marla.
Rich James,
Yes.
Bo Schrader,
Yes.
Peggy McCormick,
Yes.
Janet Mathis. Here. Earl Wallace,
Here.
Scott Walter.
Here. Next up, affirmation of proof of publication of tonight's agenda.
Welcome back, Kim.
You're on mute.
You're muted.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yep.
Welcome back.
Oh, yay, what a welcome back. I can't even unmute myself. What a pleasure. I, Kimberly Johnson, hereby certify that the notice of Kickapoo Area Schools May 14th, 2025 regular school board meeting was caused to be published in the Epitaph News on 5/7/25 and posted on billboards in the following places on 5/12/25. Kickapoo K-12 School Building, Citizens First Bank, Viola Post Office, and the school website.
Good
job.
Kim.
Thank you.
Nice to hear you go through that again. We're all emotional having you back with us as well.
What's your favorite part, wasn't it?
Number 3, I'll entertain a motion to approve tonight's agenda. If anybody has any edits.
To approve the agenda.
I'll second.
Motion by Earl, second by Bo to approve tonight's agenda. I would ask for one little modification, the new cell phone or personal communication device policy. In reading that, that's a big change. I'd like to have a little discussion on that. So if we could move consent agenda item G to action agenda item K, I would appreciate it.
Okay, I'll amend the motion to move G to action K.
I'll second the change.
Okay, as amended, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. All right, then we get to election of board officials. And as I recall, Marla, you shared the policy regarding this with me. I glanced at that, but we'll start with, I think, president and
Can I ask a question first? Is there anybody that's serving as an officer this year that would not care to do it next year? Everybody would be okay?
I was gonna
'Cause I would make.
sort of make a little statement.
Okay.
I'm happy to serve for another year, but as Marla and Kim know, the last 9, 10, 15 months, I haven't been around as much as I had been and hadn't been as engaged as I wanted to be as president on things. We got a growing syrup business and it's pulling me 9 ways from Sunday. So if anybody else would like to step into this role, I'd be happy to relinquish the reins. But if you didn't notice the difference, first of all, I'm offended because I feel like I fell short, but
I noticed, I just didn't say.
But as I said, I'm happy to continue if you guys are okay, but. So nobody's jumping.
Look at those hands shooting in the air.
Everybody's happy with, I'll make a motion to keep the present elected officials for the 25-26 years.
I'll second. Thank you, Scott. Didn't mean to do it.
There you go, Scott. Yeah,
Okay.
it's 7 o'clock tomorrow, that'd be great.
Your first time.
That's all my stuff. Thank you.
I see you waiting till after.
Or I guess you should go
go back to the whole weekend. Yeah.
Yeah,
They didn't vote yet, Aaron. They didn't vote.
oh, well, I'm sorry, that's true, that's true.
How
Earl
many
made the
years
motion, nobody went
How many
against
years
it.
they gotta do this before I get a stamp?
Oh,
Well,
sure, look at that.
Probably not for the.
Does he have a single statement?
Yeah,
All right, motion by Earl, second by Janet to, stay with the same officers we've had for the past year, for the 25-26 school year. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. That was quick. Audience to visitors and board members. Anybody else from the public call in? So we've got our student council reps ready to update us on all things Kickapoo. Okay.
Alrighty, I've been here before, but I'm Gwen Frederickson, I'm a senior this year.
And I'm Ann Clements, I'm a junior.
Okay, I'll start us off in middle school. So for English, all 6th and 7th grade students will be participating in the Wisconsin Business World Quick Trip Innovation Contest this month. This project encourages students to collaborate with classmates to develop an innovative product or procedure for Quick Trip stores. Students will be challenged to consider target market, price point, and marketing ideas. All of the 6th and 7th grade ELA students will round out the year with a unit on public speaking. They will be writing informative and demonstration speeches respectively. In English A, students are currently reading The Lightning Thief. This action-packed book is revealing the world of Greek mythology to our students. Paired with the novel, students are working on developing their skills of sentence writing. Students are studying complex sentences with a focus on understanding and identifying the difference between independent and dependent clauses. For science, 8th grade physical science is finishing the school year with chemical reactions, just what they love as it involves a lot of time in the lab. The use of Bunsen burners and chemical changes galore. It is a challenging unit because the concepts are tough and the group needs to obtain a lot of focus in the lab. As an overall group, they have done remarkably well. Super proud of them.
Spanish. Students recently designed clothing flyers for an imaginary store in Spanish-speaking country and performed shopping skits to practice clothing and color vocabulary. After finishing reading their first novel completely in Spanish, Spanish 2 students created movie trailer projects to highlight the most important scenes of the book. They turned out great. We may have some future filmmakers among us. Both classes are learning the historical significance behind the Cinco de Mayo holiday and celebrating with Mexican food, music, and crafts. Spanish 1 collaborated with the 4K class to make maraca instruments. 6th grade life skills. We've been focusing on building confidence in ourselves, identifying our strengths and weaknesses, working to determine who we respect and why we can emulate those traits. We are also discussing being healthy in regards to our diet, our activity level, and sleep. The next weeks will bring identifying our emotions, determining what we value, and how to establish our own personal power. We will use the movie Inside Out 2 to apply our understanding of these lessons as the culmination for the quarter. For high school in English, 11 and 12 CCR students have been learning about
It's a big word. Transcendentum. Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. Recently, they chose a quote that was meaningful to them and designed a poster that represents what it means to them. We will end the year with Gothic literature, Edgar Allan Poe, Nathaniel, and more contemporary author. Advanced Lit students completed 3 major parts of their scripts and now are participating in script analysis and table talks with their classmates. These sessions give them focused feedback and a chance to discuss their merits of their writing against 5 focus areas. College prep English students are meeting the challenge of presenting their research findings from quarter 3 to their peers with confidence and clarity. Their topics reflect a wide range of interests and academic inquiry, including year-round schooling, the impacts of inflation on American farmers, and the enduring mystery of D.B. Cooper. These presentations not only showcase students' skills, but also foster public speaking and critical thinking abilities. Each student presents for 20 to 25 minutes, followed by a 20-minute Q&A session. The response from classmates have been overwhelmingly positive. Students are highly engaged throughout the presentations with thoughtful questions and lively discussion that often continue right up to the end of the quarter and sometimes beyond. Ninth grade English are ending the year with Greek mythology. Students completed a web quest to familiarize themselves with poet Homer, Greek culture and traditions, and develop an understanding of some of the important gods and goddesses. Students are focusing on an epic poetry element. We have begun studying excerpts from the Odyssey and will finish the year by viewing the 1997 film and discussing the portrayal of the elements we're studying. English 10 students are studying rhetorical skills, including strategy, organization, and style. Here are some of the work toward a better understanding of transitions. Appropriate use, paragraph organization, and understanding both redundancy and wordiness in writing. Upon completion of this unit, students will finish the year developing their understanding of vocabulary and context clues, reading efficiently and effectively, making a plan and writing to prompt given. AP English Language students continue to prep for the exam on May 14th, consisting of 45 multiple choice questions to be answered in 60 minutes, followed by 3 essays to be completed in 2 hours and 15 minutes. The first essay provides a prompt and 6 sources, and students must layer at least 3 sources to support their stance on the subject. The second essay asks students to nonfiction piece and analyze rhetorical choices that the author used. The final essay is an open-ended argument. Students take a stance on the prompt topic and support their argument with their own buckets of knowledge. This exam basically focuses on the rhetorical situation. In the days following the exam, juniors write both a scholarship and college application essay. Seniors will work on cleaning up their Google Drives and saving items into their personal drives. Future UWL English. Non-current enrollment students took a placement test on May 7th after meeting with UWL rep on May 1st, and then worked on a practice placement test afterwards.
Okay, math. Both JV and varsity math teams received first place at the Twin Conference Math Contest out of 8 teams. For science, Mr. Lee's class has been doing a variety of things in all of his classes. Earth science students are currently designing Mars rovers. They are creating vehicles that are self-powered and will be testing them soon. Biology students are entering the last unit on ecology. They just created food web showing the flow of energy through ecosystems and the interactions that take place between organisms. Anatomy and physiology students are discussing digestion and nutrition and will finish the school year off with reproduction and development. One of their last projects is caring for an infant by taking a baby simulator around with them during the school day. AP Environmental Science students are finishing their last unit on global change and preparing for the AP test on May 13th. Chem students just finished out a unit on thermochemistry and were charged with investigating various materials to build a housing for an ice cube penguin. The goal was to build the lowest mass structure possible while keeping the penguin ice cube from melting. The teams had the opportunity to revise their designs based upon pre-testing and additional research. It was a fun way to finish out the unit. For seniors, the seniors just went on their senior trip this past weekend in the Dells where they stayed at the Wilderness, and then they went to the Outlet Mall and everything like that. And then we are going to be going on our brewery trip on the 21st, and then we're gonna be graduating next Friday. And then for juniors, the juniors hosted prom on April 12th. They had a great turnout and everyone had a good time. Sophomores, we have been working on ideas on ways to spruce up our 5K fundraiser and are excited to enter into our junior year. Freshmen have completed all their fundraisers for the year and are working hard to complete their first year of high school. We are also working to think ahead for activities such as homecoming for next year. Art just had their art show, which is still displayed up in the cafeteria and then out towards the auditorium. FFA went on their spring trip in April to up near Stevens Point. And then drama students are posing ideas for next year's show.
State forensics was on Friday, April 11th. Wendy Kelly placed gold, Neela Fleet-Hardy placed silver, Nico Valdez placed silver, Nikolai Rose placed bronze, and Eliza Wallace with bronze. High school student council. The 25-26 student council has been elected. The current student council voted to allow more representatives per class for next year, for better representation from each class, and for more help with activities the student council runs. For music, April was a great time for Kickapoo music. Kickapoo took over 50 events to solo ensemble contest, and of the 32 eligible for state, 22 made it on. On April 23rd, we had large group festival in Westby, where each middle school and high school band and choir earned first ratings from all 3 judges. On April 26th, we took 22 events to state, earning 6 second ratings and 16 first ratings. We are also blown away that 3 events were awarded exemplary awards at state. Each judge hears about 40 events in a day, and we are allowed to give 2 exemplary awards. Charlie Zellhofer on the euphorium, Lane Miller on the trombone, and Lane and Sam for their vocal duet. All earned exemplary awards. In May, we had a final band concert on May 5th, final choir concert on May 12th, and coming up, we have community outreach at Bethel Homes with middle school choir on May 16th. Elementary spring concert on May 21st, perform at graduation on May 23rd, and perform at Memorial Day services on May 26th. On May 14th, we will hold an informational meeting on the music trip to Washington, D.C. New York for the spring of 2026. The fall musical is announced, James and the Giant Peach. Auditions will be held at the end of May.
For Phi Ed / Gym, the elementary just finished up a successful Jump Off Her Heart campaign this past month and have had swimming parties as a result of making their school goal. And middle school and high school PE are in their archery unit and will also begin fitness testing. For work study and youth apprenticeship, as the year comes to a close, I want to provide special recognition to the following students for their hard work through their work study and apprenticeships this year. So pretty much I'll name off and then what they have accomplished. So juniors Heaven Turner and Nina Clark are both working at Baroqua Family Restaurant, and Landon Smithy is working at Aaron Hansen Trucking. Jake Malfi is working at Slama Equipment, and Lita Chand is working at Green Tech Enterprises. Chloe Munt is working at Vernon Humane Society. Mariana Miller is at Dollar General, and Kyle Havlick is at J&J Dip Nets. JJ Olson is at Countertops Unlimited. Peyton Holcomb is at Bappy. Abe Clements obtained a CDL and will continue his career through the Lafarge Trucking Center. Tyler Prawley is at Low Manufacturing and will continue an apprenticeship through WWTC in automotive. Benny Culver is at Low Manufacturing. Brock Melfi is at Newsoms and Carps Construction and will continue his career working at Carps Construction. Hayden Peterson is at Fowler and Hammer, and he obtained his apprenticeship and will continue his career. Jewel Kleinsasser is at Pine Valley. Raymond Rosinski is at Hatfield Farms. Ethan Hemmersbach is at Lafarge Truck Center, but he obtained a sponsorship to YO Tech through the Lafarge Truck Center. And Ellery Young is at Solar Town Farm and Home. And then finally, yearbook. The yearbook was published, and yearbook program, they were announced yearbook program of excellence winner. The KHS yearbook staff received Jostens Program of Excellence Silver Award for their 2025 publication. Staff were notified of their award at the Jostens Spring Premiere event held at the Wisconsin Dells High School on April 29th. And that's what we got.
It's amazing how much goes on in this building, isn't it? Thank you, ladies.
Thanks, ladies.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Oh, so what is the difference between a determinate and an indeterminate plus?
Couple of letters.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding, I don't know.
An I and an N.
They just report the news.
Thanks. Thank you both.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Congratulations on your graduation.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Anne's gonna be back next year.
probably. I'll be back sometime.
where are you heading after?
I'm going to UWL, and then I'm actually majoring in elementary education to
Oh, nice.
hopefully come back here. one day. So
Nice,
we'll see.
Nice.
well, good luck, thank you.
Well, thank you.
Thanks,
Have a good
girls.
night.
See ya.
Board members? Any thoughts, ideas?
Must have been track and field day.
Yep.
Yes, everybody's ready.
Is everybody, I mean, I think we talked about that before, but everybody good with that every month? Would every other month be better, or if it's good to do every month, everybody?
If you can get them to do it every month, it's
Okay.
fine, but if you go to every.
No, I was curious from you,
I
because
just
I
like
mean,
the fact that it's ready.
I think it's been good that, you know, they're here. It's good to hear the info, but just wanted to check and make
Who
sure.
puts all that together, them?
No, we put out a Google Doc to the teachers.
Oh, okay,
And then the teachers fill out what, you know, and some fill it out each month, some don't. We try to.
Well, I mean, it's good, I just don't
You
want
know.
some burden on.
No, we put a Google Doc out, the teachers fill it out and then.
And I do appreciate that, but you know, I do miss having, staff in different times, and you know,
Right,
when we have
right.
meetings that don't have such a long, lengthy
Okay.
agenda
Long agenda.
possibly.
Yeah,
But I mean, I still remember like Craig's coming in. and
Right.
Roy Martin had a group in, and
Yeah, well,
there's
you-
others that haven't had a chance, and it would be, I'd still like to see some of them.
Okay.
It would be good to get back to
Yeah.
some of
Well,
that.
yeah, the month or something.
And I really enjoy listening to this, but it's pretty rapid fire, just
Yeah.
the thought,
Yeah.
if each teacher wanted to submit a PowerPoint slide and the student, you know, bullets, and they could go through and talk with some pictures. I don't know, just,
are you talking for this report?
yeah,
I think that might be a lot to ask, Scott. I mean, I think the part of, you know, we're putting it out, I think if then they're adding that they're gonna do a PowerPoint, that might be, I don't know.
I don't know, to put 3 bullets on a PowerPoint slide would take less time than writing
But-
the whole summary.
Oh, you're saying have the staff do that one?
Yeah,
Like
the staff do
information.
that.
Oh, you mean for the staff report?
Like, didn't you say that you sent an email out to staff?
Yeah,
What are you doing in your classes?
that for this report, yeah, and then they just jot down bullet points for that.
Yeah, that might work.
Yeah, so each staff member, instead of sending a paragraph, would send a PowerPoint
Just do a
slide
slide.
that they would then put together, and
Okay, I see what you're saying, okay,
just a thought,
okay,
cause this, you know, they're
It would add a visual at least for us.
add a visual and.
okay. All right,
There.
If they wanted to.
Yeah, I mean, just an idea,
all right,
different way of conveying information. Expense vouchers and receipts then is next up on our agenda tonight. I didn't see anything that jumped out at me. Anybody else?
I had a couple questions. Miss
Sure, Vic.
Melfi had a $6,500 on hers.
Is it P cards are we talking about?
Incorporated medicine.
Can do that.
So that is part of her, common school funds that she has to spend, that it's a grant basically. And it's just some new technology for in the library to kind of help update that and use grant funds for it.
I figured that's what it was for, but I just wanted to double check. And then it looks like Peterson has like 3 different things to CDW government for
That is
a lot of money.
actually- That's actually also for the library as well, to help update the technology in there. That was all through that same library grant as well.
Okay, perfect.
Anything else?
What was your mystery science thing? And
Mystery science is everybody in the we don't have something we're working on is we don't have a specific science curriculum in the elementary. And part of the reason that we don't have that is because especially in the younger grades, when they move, we spend so much time on reading and math, is I don't want to pay for something that doesn't get used. I don't want us to buy a book and a curriculum that isn't going to be used and just sits there. So mystery science is something the teachers have used for probably 7 or 8 or 9 years. It's been a while, and it has videos, and it goes, it's a curriculum, it's a science curriculum. Is it enough to be the whole thing? No. But teachers use it, especially 1st, 2nd, and 3rd grade, 4th and 5th grade use it too. They use it all the way through. Not as a supplement, but it's kind of their core science, and then they add to it as they go.
very cool.
If we ever get to a point where we want a full one, then we probably get rid of that. But right now, it's, everybody uses it. That's what they're using. So that's what that is.
thank you.
Any other questions? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve tonight's expense vouchers and receipts.
I can make that motion. I'll second it.
Motion by Rich, second by Earl. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes, a very beefy consent agenda tonight. Including minutes from last month's regular board meeting, last month's policy and legislative affairs committee meeting, authorization for the administration to approve or deny applications for open enrollment, a few student handbook revisions, a road construction permit, first reading on policy 5411 regarding third grade promotion, some Neola policy revisions, a teacher resignation, a number of donations, which I'll mention quickly. A number for the Sea Purge trip, from Nick Martin, $500, Rockwell Automation, $500, Terrence Moen, $100, Shetkowski Brands, $500, and an anonymous donation of $300. 25-26 letters of employment for support staff and the athletic trainer agreement with VMH. Any questions, comments, thoughts on any of those items?
On the handbook, middle school handbook, I know Scott said a few changes, and I noticed there's like one page with just a couple of things. And then there's followed by technology and education additions. Like, is that part of your handbook too, or is that
Well,
there for some other reason? that I-
According to what, and Marla, you can jump in on this, but according to what Neola felt in the Google part of it, we should have it all in there, correct? I mean, that's the
What he
way
said.
Okay,
they felt like,
that's,
yeah, it's a
that's all.
very long
I know,
version of it.
Yeah,
Cause that's what we looked at, and we discussed it, like, do we really need to put the whole thing in there? And, but they really kind of
Said to do it.
said to do it.
yeah, I know there.
Whether anybody will ever read it,
Probably not,
No,
but
but they must have a reason, like,
I would
issue
guess.
when a parent said, I didn't know this, you didn't.
right,
notify
cause
me."
yeah, it is very lengthy.
I can't even say I read the whole thing, but I did
Yeah.
skim it, and it did impress me. I was like, oh, this is one of the,
Yeah,
you gotta tell them.
yeah, but yeah, we did double check on that because we thought, can't you just summarize this down, but.
I have no problem with that. And then the other thing, I just for information of any other board members, especially newer ones who might not be aware of it, letters of employment for support staff is something we do every year. Basically, it's support staff and bus drivers, right? Who assures them that they will have a job in the fall, and that means they cannot claim unemployment during the summer.
Hearing no other questions, I'll entertain a motion to approve tonight's consent agenda.
I can make that motion. I'll second.
Motion by Rich, second by Bo to approve tonight's consent agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Action agenda includes a number of items that are included in your board packet. The first being the 2025 summer school program and associated teachers.
in your pack, all the teachers are listed for what we have. We're doing it a little bit different this year, just based on the staff that was willing to teach summer school. We, first, second, and third grade are going to be, there are 3 teachers that are going to do that. We call it Camp Kickapoo, and I'll divvy them up once we get the final number of kids that are in here. We're gonna try to do summer or swimming lessons again with them. And then for 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, we actually have classes that the parents can sign them up for. In the years, like last year, we just had all the 4th and 5th, 6th graders together and kind of divvied them up. And we didn't have the staff to do that. And actually, I have 163 kids signed up this year, and I only had 150 some last year. Some will come out of the woodwork. I have sent numerous reminders to parents that they can't just show up on the first day of school with their 5th grader expecting a class, because Lori Martin class is full. Jake Gerke has 2 openings left for fishing. Lori only had so many kits, and I've been really specific with that, and I'm sure the parents have read my emails very carefully, and nobody will show up and be mad on the first day of school, but that will be my problem, not anybody else's. But no, the numbers look really good, so I think we're going the right way. Anna and I will sit down and have summer school ready and Becky Gerke, Jake with the 25 kids and being around water to go fishing, he thought maybe another person, and he has one in the family that is willing to help. So Becky signed up, wants to be on there, but so that's any questions, on any of the names or anything, but it'll be here before you know it.
Anybody want to enter a motion to approve?
I'll make that a motion.
I'll second it.
Motion by Janet, second by Earl to approve this summer's programs and the teachers. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Next up, 25-26 health insurance renewal. And there was a table in here.
Is it in the packet?
Yep,
Yep.
Okay.
Right after
So
summer
I'll
school.
find it in the
It's this
packet
little-
this afternoon. Oh, that, but that's just the premiums, right?
yep, and then on the next page after that, we have,
But I didn't get
projected expenses.
Could you step through that? Could you step through
Yep.
that information, Allison?
Yeah, so it was about a month ago that Kim and I had met with Janice at the insurance center and Taylor is their data analytics at the insurance center, so he's the one that looks through all of our numbers every month and he makes up these projections for what our expenses probably will be. I mean, it's always a guesstimate with self-funded. So this first page on there is just what they are recommending we change our premiums to. It's about a 6% increase in premiums from last year to this year. And that is coming from, if you look on the next page, what they are projecting our expenses to be next year. And they actually divvied it up into what they project our expenses to be for next year, which is 6% increase from this year. And then on the far right column, they do give us an estimate of if we were to have that fully funded health insurance plan and move back to that, that would result in a 16, almost 17% increase in expenses. Again, these are all estimates. It's really dependent on what happens medically within the staff. So this number could come in way lower, or if something catastrophic happens, knock on wood, that doesn't, but it always could end up slightly higher.
This is only our second year, right? This is year number 2 we're finishing.
Yes, this current year is your number 2.
So do you have any clue on how they came up with that 6%? Are they just doing some kind of an industry-wide sort of thing, or are they looking at our group as if?
They look at our group specifically, and I haven't seen the program that they use on it, but they look at it monthly, and Taylor, who's their data analytics person, and Janice does as well, whenever something comes in kind of high, they dig into it to see what is the cause of it, if everything is correct, or if something was coded wrong, if something wonky happened. But yeah, they look at us specifically for everything.
So they, yeah, and I know they've got software and all that can analyze it and do it, but as long as it's sure that's what it is, that should be.
Yeah.
Thank you for getting that.
So the deductible's going up $1,000?
Yes, deductible's going up next year, not quite 1,000.
But that doesn't necessarily mean the staff is paying more, right? Or does it?
So yes, deductible increases, that will affect the staff. And that was at the recommendation of Janice, just because to still be a high deductible health plan, that was
Oh,
increasing.
that's right, I knew that too.
And
Okay.
it's been increasing every year, so she was like, you should increase it to 7,000 for that family, just so that you're covered for hopefully 2 years. So it's not an adjustment every year, but yeah, so then as long as we're still in that high deductible, we can keep our HSA.
If we didn't meet high deductible, we can't keep our HSA. So it was last year, was it 2,500 and 6,000 then? I guess I totally missed that because it's in the title and I don't see it anywhere else. I was just looking.
This current year, our deductible for single plans is 3,200 and family is 6,400.
Okay.
Oh, okay, I know where it was,
So.
the family went up to 600.
So does our staff actually pay that full deductible?
But they get the other.
Right.
Depends on what they use for medical insurance. Some may if you go to the doctor more often.
Okay, but we don't, the school, the district does not subsidize any of that
Correct.
premium?
The deductibles on staff.
Yep, we do that
We'll do half
HSA
of it.
payment.
The HSA.
Give you
yeah.
HSA, yeah.
So that
Which
can
kind
be
of
used-
basically.
Oh,
that's-
half.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
So the interesting thing to me, and one of the important aspects of the self-funded model is our staff behavior
Mm.
when they need to see a doctor or refer to a specialist. So they're projecting a 6% increase based on our staff's willingness to make the phone call.
Mhm.
and
Based
see-
on trends, kind of where a lot of our staff are going, they also have more information on what they expect the medical industry to do on like increase in cost, things like that, if any prescriptions they know are gonna increase. So it's kind of a combination of a few different things that they look at in it to come up with that number.
And I'm sure there's a lot of things there, but I mean, it could even be down to the level of, they know what cases they're paying on now and what continues and that kind of thing, so they might be, we won't know till next year how close they came to being right, because
Right.
it's only our first time they've actually done it for us.
Mhm.
But some of that stuff has gotten pretty sophisticated as far as following this kind of stuff. I don't know if they use it or not, but they seemed right on the ball when we talked to them before we went here, so.
Yeah,
We'd be able to see confidentially, of course, with no names, but a breakdown of, you know, how our staff is behaving, you know, how many are making the call and pursuing a cheaper option and getting the refund and.
so we do get a monthly report on that. We really don't see a lot of names on it or anything. That is something that during our call, we did talk to Janice about because it is not being utilized to the capacity that it could be. So Janice will be coming during one of our in-service days and she goes over this more. And that's one thing that she's gonna highlight again, and then we're gonna try and push out more just information and communication on the benefits of it.
Cause that's where this becomes a cost-effective model for us. It is already, I mean, we're saving what, $100,000.
Yeah, and there are some staff that have come in and talked to me and they use it whenever they need to. I mean, just going in for your regular checkup, they're not gonna call for that, but if there's a need, they have seen that cost savings, whereas that's only been a couple people that have come in and really told me anything, but yeah, right now there isn't a ton of utilization of it.
That's important because when Janice was here, the cost differences were huge. I mean, a procedure might cost $40,000 here and $8 here. It's just astounding.
Without them
So-
driving very far, even in her, without them driving, it's
Yeah.
not like they were being asked to go very far.
Yeah, so she's coming to talk to staff again, good, good. Any other discussion? Hearing none, anybody wanna make a motion?
I can make that motion.
I'll second it.
Motion by Rich, second by Janet, to approve the 25-26 health insurance renewal. All in favor? Aye, opposed? Peggy, did we get an aye from you?
You sure did.
Awesome, thank you.
Is Kim still on
Motion
there?
passes, item C on the action agenda, adding another section to second grade, and I didn't see anything in the packet here.
I don't think there is. Kind of the conversation we had last month, not kind of, for some reason, we keep drawing kids into the first grade class. It started out as 20 and 21. It is at 23 right now, and we know for sure 2 kids are coming next year to make it 25. And with the needs that we have in that class, 20, I don't feel comfortable with 25 in second grade next year. And we have 4th grade is 13 and 12, they have 25. Janet was on the interview committee. We had two really good candidates to go along, which we'll talk about later. But I think it's what's best for the kids in that grade. I think it's what's best for our school district. Kim and I talked about it. Said you can make it work with the numbers. I think it's the best thing we can do for our school and the kids in that grade. And have two together and split them up and have 12 and 13. And I think we can get even hone in more. And there's a few behaviors in there, there's nothing explosive. I mean, there's some behaviors in there, and being able to break them up and get them away from each other is only going to be beneficial. And the other part, I was involved with the grade that we had just one of that went up through. Your daughter was in that grade. It gets really hard when they can never get away from each other for 12 years. And they're always in the same homeroom, where when you have two, you can mix them up a little bit and they change that and they get different friend groups. And yeah, they're together at recess and stuff, but it helps mix that up. So I hope that the board will support that.
And Andy, we had a talk about this last month, right?
Yep.
You presented this.
Yeah, just said to get it on your radar. I hope you do it.
No problem with, I mean, it's kind of borderline-ish, but
It is.
still, I mean, it's a lot.
It's
My
a
son
lot.
went through the beginning of, they had two grades or two classrooms at that time, but they got 27, 28 rooms.
It came back.
Just even, many years ago, even having been in those classrooms, yeah, that was not always good. So,
Yeah, if it's a borderline, I'm gonna recommend better education than.
Yeah,
Mhm.
For the teacher too, I think, if that's 25 kids for one teacher, I mean, for burnout or anything else, I think it's imperative that we take care of the teacher as well.
Yeah, I think you said it, so you guys have talked and we'll fit in the budget.
kind of one of those where it fits and we work around it. I
Yeah.
mean, we may have to come back and ask for, where can we do reduction somewhere else? But I mean, at least this is a body right in front of kids, so that's not removed at all. This is, yeah, so.
Absolutely. I can make that motion to. Where's it at? Add another section to second grade?
I'll second it.
Motion by Rich, second by Earl, to add another section to second grade then. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes, good deal.
Thank you.
Next up, 25-26 WASB delegate and alternate.
Well, Earl, you willing to be the delegate yet? If you'll be the delegate, I'll be the alternate, because the only way I have to do it is if you're not gonna be there. No, I was a delegate this year also, because CISA's person
Oh, yeah.
had to back out at the last minute. So they needed somebody for the CISA, and it was very interesting, so I did enjoy it, but I'll still let you do it.
Even though technology wasn't quite as good as it should be.
Yeah,
So
that's
I
right, it was
guess
fun waving our paddles.
entertain a motion to keep Earl as our WSB delegate with Janet as the alternate.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Motion by Bo, second by Peggy. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
And I'll put my plug in again, if anybody, I know when you're working, it's really hard to get to the convention. I don't think I ever went till I retired, but it is always a good experience and lots of good information, so.
Yeah, I went a couple times, the previous times, and yeah, it was a
And
very
even
good
if you can
experience.
just be there for,
Yeah.
Tuesday or
I
Wednesday,
mean, the information was unbelievably good.
or Wednesday, Thursday.
I agree, but it is hard.
It is hard, I know.
I wanted to go. I went my first year and I told Marla I'd go every year since and then backed out at the end because you just get
Yeah, I've done that too. So.
too many trees to tap it.
What's January?
Yep.
Yeah, January. Well, you never know anymore.
All right, moving on then, 25-26 CISA 3 representative.
I've usually done that. I was across the street at Southwest Tech, and now because I'm on their board, but if anybody else would like to do it, it's their reorganizational meeting at the beginning of August, and I'm not up for reelection this year, so I can be a representative.
Good with me.
Yeah,
I'll make a
I,
motion that we have Janet be CISA 3 rep.
I'll second.
motion by Earl, second by Bo to approve Janet as our CISA 3 rep for the coming school year. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Item F then, district fees for the 25-26 school year. This is in your packet. Are these,
Same, aren't they?
Yes.
Yeah.
they're the same?
Comment on it, Allison, but
Okay.
everything's.
We didn't change, we're not changing the lunch price either.
Yep, so DPI has actually sent out quite a few things on that with if you're required to, if you need to, kind of things like that. Right now with where our fund balance is sitting in Fund 50, we are not required to increase
Yeah.
our lunch account.
Because that's why we started raising it every year, as they told us.
Yeah.
Should be doing that, so.
And right now we're good and they've kind of made it where you can only have so much in your Fund 50 fund balance now and we're within a good limit. We're not over it and we're not in a deficit right now.
He also pays their wages, that's part of it too. Okay.
There's no other discussion. I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we keep the same recommendation for our lunch and milk prices for the coming year.
Thanks, second.
Motion by Earl, second by Rich to approve the district fees for the coming school year. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Item G then, sale of a school van. Get the background on this.
I can speak on this. Jeff came in, it's probably been a few weeks ago, since the purchase of the new Yukon that is in our fleet now and running. He would like to get rid of the 2007 Town and Country. I think he said it either had 167 or 175,000 miles on it. Can't remember which one of those numbers and I didn't bring my note with me. But he would like to sell this van. He would prefer to do a sealed bid system. Ideally, we're gonna get a $500 minimum on it. Yeah, he just needs that. He said it looks rough, it's kind of rusty, but it runs really well still, but it's just not something we need
How
anymore.
do we advertise for that?
Does anyone know how we've done it in the past?
I think we just put it on the website and maybe put it in the paper, I think. if I remember
We
right.
need to do something,
Yeah,
you know,
Yeah, that makes sense.
I
make
think
sure
that,
it's out there to the public.
I could be wrong, but I think in the past, it's been on the website and the paper that we had that. It's been a while, but I remember.
I'm pretty sure we did something.
Yeah,
in it.
I think so.
Okay, that's fine.
I'll make a motion for Jeff to get sealed bids on the van if he advertises it on the website and the newspaper.
I'll second that.
Motion by Bo, second by Peggy. For Jeff to sell the van. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Item H then, 25-26 teacher contracts.
So this year it's a little different purely because, not all negotiation has been done on the teacher contracts yet for their salary. But, Wisconsin state statute says that all teachers have to have a contract by May 15th, just showing that they have a job for next year. So this year, the contract that they're gonna get tomorrow is just gonna have all of their information on the contract from last year, saying subject to negotiation on the top. Then when all contracts get settled, they'll get another contract with their updated contract amounts for next year. So this is just the list of teachers that we have. I know I have a couple in there with that just say new teachers for Ashland's replacement and Jenna's replacement, but that'll go into more detail a little later in the meeting.
It's the same number of people we had last year then.
Yeah,
So we're basically approving the list of teachers. But I wanna make that motion?
I can make that motion?
I'll second.
Motion by Rich, second by Janet to approve teacher contracts for the coming year. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you, Peggy. Motion passes. Item I then, solar scoreboard for the baseball field. And there is a letter from Badger Sporting Goods here.
Barrel ball, I don't know if you wanna talk on it. Me too.
We kind of feel that the generator is doing what it needs to be out there. It runs a little bit cheaper than the 4,000. So we feel that we'll just stick with the generator. And because that take and you gotta make sure you bring the batteries, everything in the winter time and take care of everything. And maybe 2 years or whatever, we may be looking again, so we figured as long as the generator runs the scoreboard. What we need, it's down first baseline, which ain't that loud, that,
When you say we mean building and grounds committee.
yeah, we met tonight.
Yeah.
before we came in.
I guess kind of leads in a sense into the next one with the concession stand and parts of that. As part of that is, and Peggy, you certainly jump in and comment on this too, but the electricity part of it, we looked at where the pole is right now, where we hook the generator up. If we're gonna have power to the snack shack, the generator has to run anyways. So if the scoreboard, so then you'd have a situation where you gotta run them, you know what I mean? It doesn't make any sense because the generator has to run the power in the concession stand. So then it really wouldn't make any sense to have a solar scoreboard going that it doesn't solve the problem anyway.
If it's cloudy, it may not work, so.
So, and if you read the write-up, with solar, you need to make sure the facility doesn't plan to run it every day, needs some downtime. Turn it on and off correctly, especially if the season is over. It could be good, but it might not.
That's kind of the way I.
You don't wanna go with that.
So I don't know, that was our, I just felt like we needed at some point get this on an agenda and, you know, make a decision to know of what is functional. And again, Peggy, do you have any, I mean, that'll lead into the next one, I guess, but any thoughts on the scoreboard part of it? I mean, from your sense?
No, not really. And I talked to Coach Kaufman about this the other day, and so the bid or whatever this is that we have here, it doesn't include the batteries. It just includes the housing for the batteries, and the batteries are like twice what this scoreboard costs. So I don't feel that is a need.
Okay.
And Coach Kaufman doesn't feel like it either. I mean, right now, let's see, at the game Tuesday, we ran the scoreboard, the concession stand, and the radio was there, and it worked fine.
Oh, wow, good to know.
All right, well, I don't know if we want to make a vote on that one
I
first.
didn't realize it didn't include that stuff.
You just said that now, Peggy, I'm reading that,
It says enclosure that house.
that really?
That's right.
Yeah, so it's a no-brainer now. Wow.
Might as well just put electricity underneath
I
it
just
for that.
assumed that part was with the, that,
I did too. But
but now, yeah, if you really read it,
No batteries.
and I don't know if Kent understood that either when the guy, because Kent talked with the guy and went through everything, I don't know that was, I never heard anybody mention that doesn't include the batteries.
So it sounds
Even
like,
if it does, I.
Yeah.
we're not gonna move toward a solar powered scoreboard, so
At this point.
we don't really need a vote, except we could, since it's on the action agenda, somebody wants to make a motion to
Yeah.
maintain the current.
Yep, I'll make a motion that we don't go with the solar and do what we're doing right now.
I'll second.
Motion by Bo, second by Rich to maintain the status quo as far as the baseball scoreboard goes. All in favor?
Bye.
Opposed? Motion passes. And then as Aaron suggested, a related item, the baseball field concession stand.
Yeah, we were okay with painting it similar to what the dugouts are painted, the red and black, and then electricity, go there to check out, cause there's 4 breakers in the box where they plug the generator in. One of them's gotta go to the dugout. It's 'cause there's outlets, 2 outlets in there. One's gotta go to the scoreboard to run it, and the other 2 ain't for certain where they go, but you can take and there's an outlet on the east end of that home team dugout that for right now for taking, plug the cord in there and run up to the concession stand, but I told Mayor that we could take and probably go from there and bury an underground cable up into the concession stand before another year.
Peggy, did you run it off of the one off the dugout, or did you go from where the generator was?
No, I run off the dugout.
Okay, so it does work, which, yeah. So
Yep,
that's
and
where
that's
the,
where-
that's where the underground power would go right there, and then it would go right to the concession stand with outlets and stuff in there.
That'd be nice. Then people don't trip or anything.
So it does work. So there, we answered one question. We didn't
Yep.
know.
I mean,
That's
there's
where
4
the
breakers.
radio was plugged into.
Okay, good.
Jeez.
Good to know.
So this is on the action agenda, what are we wanting to approval to dig that
Essentially,
underground?
it'd be to approve to dig the electricity to go to the concession
Underground.
stand,
From,
Paint
paint the shed, and then put a little 8x11
deck in
little
front.
deck on the front, so when people come up to
And the
to
wood was
order
already
and stuff, and
donated.
the wood was already,
It's sitting on.
Ross
right now.
Carpenter donated the wood.
It's
So-
sitting out there just waiting to be built.
Yeah, so plan to be if everything's approved, the kids would have it done before the end of the school year,
Right?
so.
Anybody wanna make that motion?
Just before we do it, so we're talking like $200, $1,000?
For the lumber,
No, the lumber is approved, but I mean, just, it's hard to dig the,
I don't
can
think
we
that's
dig,
gonna,
can we dig it or?
We can dig it by hand.
yeah,
If
it's
there'll be
not
3 of
very
us,
far, I mean, I
dig-
think
dig around, 'cause they don't-
technically we'd have to have an but Troy's,
Yeah.
with the electrician
It's
on
like
staff,
20
it's not
feet.
very far, it would be really,
It's probably about 50.
Pretty simple.
50, 60 feet up there, it's just,
I mean, the,
you wanna probably dig by hand around the tree roots, so you don't destroy the tree roots that are there, cause you start digging, cutting them in two, then you start
Yeah.
killing your trees, so.
I mean, the lumber was donated, got a little bit of paint, the cost of electricity,
And the kids
I don't
are gonna
imagine
go
it's
back,
gonna be
right?
over $250 to do it all.
I'll
Can
make
I
that
ask
motion.
one other thing about that before we make a
Yeah.
motion? Is there a way we could get like a different handle or lock or something on it? Because that thing is so hard to open that we can't really lock it.
Yeah,
And
for sure, we'll get
and-
cranks on that, we could do something a lot
Okay.
more functional.
yeah, like even if it's just like a, like a latch with a padlock or something.
Yeah, we could do that, or even if, yeah, I mean, we can certainly make something work. I mean, even as simple as if that didn't work and there was a concern, they could easily frame even just a little entry door or something in there, which isn't gonna cost much, but that's a simple one.
Okay, thank you.
Any other thoughts from you, Peggy? I think that, I mean, you're the one out there, I think that kind of covers everything that will make it really functional, isn't it?
Yeah, and the window they put in is like perfect, and once
Okay.
they get that deck, it'll be nice for people coming up to it. That, cause
Okay.
it's kind of slanted there and it'll make it a little more even.
Perfect.
Yep.
All right, good deal.
I can make that motion. I'll make the item to discuss for the concession stand.
I'll second.
I'll second it.
Bo beat you, Peggy. Motion by Rich, second by Bo. To, I guess, approve construction, painting, addition of a deck and trenching in a electrical line for the baseball concession stand. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. And then the last item on the action agenda, I asked, to be dropped down from the consent agenda, just because in my mind, this is a big change, and to be honest with you, and we had the discussion last month about cell phone or personal communication device use in the classroom. But to be honest with you, and admitting something here, I didn't know kids here could have cell phones in the classroom until this came up when Isaac mentioned it. I should have known, because thinking back, we have a family snap group or whatever, and I'll get these photos from my kids in class, and I always wondered, how the heck are they doing this? They can have cell phones, I guess, in class, so, but since we're moving in the direction as the student handbook update suggests of not allowing cell phones in the classroom, except by, Aaron's okay or the principal okay, I had a couple thoughts. One, there's the second paragraph, third paragraph in the new policy allows their use for taking notes, recording lectures, writing papers. I couldn't remember the resolution of that piece of our discussion, but I remember somebody saying they can just take notes. Because in my mind, everybody's gonna say, I'm gonna use my cell phone to record the lecture.
I think,
You know, it gives a wedge for students to,
yeah, but I don't, maybe I'm missing the wording, but I mean, I think that was part, they're not allowed at all for anything unless there's.
Unless you approve it.
Unless it's approved.
Yeah, because.
So if a teacher came and said, hey, we're doing, it might be Mr. Lee, we're doing this science project today and the kids are all gonna individually need their phones, you know what I mean, to do this, can we do that? Yes, that would be the only time. It wouldn't be, I get to pick today, we're gonna do whatever, it would have to be specific, so maybe it doesn't.
well,
I thought it
does
was still in
say-
there approved by the building administrator.
Yeah,
I thought
it
both
is.
of them said
It
that.
does say,
It is.
it does say. that.
Okay,
But maybe, I mean, I guess from what you just said, it probably would be, and we don't have to change it, but crystal clear if it was an actual use for teachers' instructional purpose. Because then, like you said, the teacher's gonna come to you and say,
right,
hey, we're doing this, so the kids are gonna have their phone. It's not like
Yeah.
a kid's gonna come to you and say, I wanna use my phone to record the.
right. Correct.
Yeah, I guess,
Does that make
I
sense?
see
Scott?
that now, and you're right, it's, you have,
Yeah.
or whoever the principal.
I think no matter what it is, there's no caveat of it's okay if they take notes or whatever, or it would just be if they're gonna use them in class, it has to be administrative approval.
Yeah, no, and I agree, but that's one of those, it's very clear on the front end, no cell phones in the classroom, but as time goes by,
Right.
and if you start getting badgered, oh,
Yeah.
okay, and then this student sees that student with a cell phone, and,
Yep.
and then it gets muddy, instead of being clear, no cell phones in the classroom. And even, you know, I remember, Mr. Lee's survey, 76% of teachers thought they were a disruption. There may be staff that are using cell phones for other than instructional uses, like, there's 20 minutes left in class, get on your cell phones, or, you know, and so I just, if we're gonna adopt this, the easiest way to do it is with a hard line.
Mhm.
And if a student, for whatever reason, does need a PDA for note-taking, recording, fine, but I think it has to be approved through you with a very good reason. So we don't in a year get into this messy,
Right.
well, my friends can use it, but I can't take,
Yep.
you know what I mean?
Yeah, or, well, they let
I
us do
think-
that other class.
Yeah, that's right.
I think also at our meeting about this, we did talk about that, most diabetes monitoring now is like goes straight to your cell phone. So that was like something
Yeah.
that we would be able to approve or whatever, right?
Right.
Yep.
Yep.
A medical condition.
Mm-hmm.
But we have no plan to actually have them turn in phones or anything, because there's been some interesting articles in some of these
No,
No.
things too, yeah.
Yeah, they'll have to figure out that part of what they're going to do of
Yeah,
leaving them
exactly.
in their lockers. I mean, that's really where they're gonna have to stay.
I just agree with Scott's point of being very specific, so.
Because it's, you know, like we talked about, even if they're not out, even if they're in their pocket, it's still that. I'm sure we've all felt the buzz in our pocket when there's no phone in our pocket, you know, and
Yeah,
I mean, it's real, you know, and so I think that's the part of just not having them there at all, you know, are there going to be some learning curves in the element of, you know, during classes and out in the hall, and hey, if you're out in the hall during class and you're on your phone, then your phone gets taken away. It's no different. It's just, it's class time and you're not to be on it at all, and you know, that element of being on time, you know, we're gonna have some of those things we'll have to work through. but I think this is a really good start.
No, I think they'll just go right along with it.
Do you think so? The other part of that, just from the communication, I mean, providing everybody okays this tonight, is that before the end of the school year, I'll put something out, you know, as a communication to parents and kids.
We're gonna practice it from now. till
Yeah,
the end of
the
the
kids they've already heard, I mean, they already, you know, but, you know, we'll put it out, communication to parents and kids as well of, hey, just be aware, this is what this is going to be next year, and there will be some, you know, the first call we've already had people, and, you know, it's the safety thing, and I need to, you know, the response I had back is, well, that element, the sheriff's department, their first directive to us is that nobody should have any cell phones, because when they have them out, it blocks all the lines and they can't get through. So that's the component, you know what I mean, to
You're
that
not
safety
really
part.
concerned about safety.
Right
There's
there.
no reason not.
So, that's really been the only, I guess, I don't wanna say valid question, you know what I mean, or concern, but, you
So is this
know,
a-
but there will be more.
First reading in this, or we looked at it last week, was that our, was it an
This isn't
actual?
this isn't a new policy, this was
Oh,
what we
okay.
had.
All right,
Yeah.
gotcha.
I think in the
It just
seventh,
had to be grossly updated.
Yeah.
because-
I think in the seventh paragraph, I missed to cross out a teacher, except as authorized by an administrator, IEP team. So I will cross that out, the teacher.
Where's that at?
The seventh paragraph, first line, I missed that teacher to cross out,
Ah, yes.
but yeah, I'll fix that.
So you're gonna cross off both teacher and IEP team?
Yeah, because why can't the IEP team go through the administration too? That way the
Yeah.
administration knows,
Okay,
has knowledge of everything, not just, you know.
So I'm good with it the way it is. I guess I just wanted to make that point that.
Yeah.
It's gotta be a hard line to be fair. So unless anybody else has any comments, I'll entertain a motion to approve the personal communications device policy.
I can make that motion to approve it with the striking out of the teacher and the IEP team on paragraph 7.
Motion by Rich, second by Earl, then to approve. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. That brings us on to our nicely short informational agenda. With our first discussion item being the food service audit.
I will kind of go over a little bit more on what happened with that. So this is something that's supposed to happen every 5 years. With COVID, it kind of got delayed a little bit because the last time we had one was 2017 or 2018, 2017. So this just includes DPI coming in and just taking a closer look at what we're doing in Fund 50. They look at everything from our financials to like our non-discrimination policy on our food service applications to how Heather prepares and serves all the food. They kind of look at everything. So there was some prep work that we did beforehand, just submitting some documents. We had 2 ladies from DPI on site April 24th and 25th. Danielle was one of them, and she worked more with Heather. She spent a lot of time watching them prepare the food, making sure that they were following all of the safety regulations, heating food to the proper temperature, cooling it to the proper temperature, storing it correctly. And then Susan was with Marla and I more so looking at more of like they looked at our wellness policy to make sure that we had updated that within that certain time frame. It was looked at. They looked at our financials, making sure that our Fund 50 wasn't in a deficit, that it didn't have over an average of 3 months of expenses built up in it. And if it did have that, then we had to come up with a plan of how we're gonna spend it down, because that's the most we're supposed to have in there at the end of the year is 3 months worth of expenses. So yeah, they went through all of that with us. If anything needed to be corrected, updated, anything like that, they looked at that and showed us how to do it. There were some things that they really got nitpicky on, like,
They had to weigh the scoop
yep, that
of
was.
grapes. They had
Yep,
to weigh the scoop.
uh-huh,
I'm not making stuff up, Rich.
Yep, one thing that they found was to have a reimbursable meal, you had to have at least a half a cup of fruits and vegetables. It can be mixed in, and 1 or 2 kids got 6 grapes, which is a quarter cup of fruit, and then they only got 6 carrots, which is less than a quarter cup of vegetables, so it didn't count. That was one.
Don't get me started. I don't wanna talk about the milk, I still have PTSD, so we'll just let that go.
Yeah, so we were a couple carrot shorts on a couple kids, but
The best was because we have some preschoolers that, well, there's this preschool issue too, but some kindergartners that don't always take everything. So when they're there, they had to take everything. So I got a 4-year-old standing in front going, "Ah, put it on your plate and take it." Super. Good times for everybody.
but yeah, so that was a lot of it, is just making sure that they had everything on their plate they needed to be, and yeah, one of the things that Heather had to do was, I think a scoop of like taco meat or some random thing, and it was, the scoop is the size, well, they don't wanna know the size, they wanna know the weight.
Is that why it was in cups the other day?
Probably.
That might have been,
I
yeah.
bet that's
So
why.
now,
Yeah.
now we have to
I
waste
Now
money on,
kids, they want it.
I thought that
We
was
have to
really
waste
weird
money
that
on
the meat was
plastic
in a
cups.
cup the other day.
Yep,
Oh, that
she had to
makes
go and,
sense.
yep,
So normally, how often will they?
so this typically is a 5-year occurrence, yeah, and they typically rotate between different, so technically we have 2 schools, our elementary and then our middle school, high school, so since we had elementary this time, we're probably gonna have middle school, high school next time. And
Or
it's
aren't they
just
coming
gonna,
back this summer again?
coming back for some.
oh, that's a separate audit.
Oh.
So we have another one coming up this summer for our summer food service program. That one's separate, that one's every 3 years, so every 15 years we have them in the same year, which is always fun. Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna go to the milk. So the teachers, the kids go and get their milk, or they send somebody to get their milk, and they bring it back to the classroom, and then the teacher logs on the Skyward and says, who had milk? And they click, 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 who had milk? That's not good enough. The teachers now have to either bring in the computer or bring in their phone and log into it and actually see the kid pick the milk out of the carton and click it.
Yes, it has to be,
I'm
Right.
not making this up.
yes, right at the point of service. That's where everything has to be logged, because something could happen between the cafeteria and the classroom.
Because we're obviously stealing from DPI's food service and making millions off of it, one milk at a time.
Yes.
So now we have, I mean, literally, something that used to take 3 or 4 minutes. You have to line the kids up, you have to go in there, somebody's gotta watch your kids.
Kids have to go in there?
Mhm.
Yeah, you can't send a kid to get the milk, you have to go as they take it out of the cooler.
Each individual one, wow.
You know, those little urchins, you never know.
Slow it down.
Can't we just do that every 5 years when they come?
I thought about that, but we're going to play along here at the beginning.
A little while. You'll have some kindergartner that says, we don't do it.
Make it look good.
I never had to do this
I
before.
mean, what's the repercussion for telling the auditor
I can see
that's
Bill saying
done
that.
that way?
Well, she goes to jail.
I mean,
Yeah,
really, what, if we just said, that's
But I mean-
ridiculous, we're just gonna have the
Is
kids.
there any place where we get some
That's
feedback
nuts.
on this? Because I think your perfect example of that one is.
My understanding is if what we need to do, we had 30 days for corrective action, which they audited us with 29 days ago to the end of school.
Yeah.
So what they wanna see is that if we do it this way, and when the numbers come back and they're the same as we did it the other way, they'll say that's fine.
Yeah, because it's not like somebody can steal the milk, right? Don't we know how many milk we have and you
Yeah,
can
is-
click and see and it's like,
Yeah, are
here's
there-
how many put out, here's how many we
So-
got. And that's.
And a kid drops the milk, you go back and get another milk.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's never going to be exactly perfect. Are we stealing 15 milk today? No.
It's good, Lord.
But yeah, that was part of it. It was fun. I mean, it was great. It was a great learning experience. I can't wait for another 5 years. Maybe I won't be here.
It won't be you in
It might
5
not
years,
be
because
here.
it'll be
Might not be.
upstairs,
That's true, regardless, I'm all.
but.
You can do it this summer.
I will be here this summer for it. It'll be great.
Yeah, it sounds like there was quite a few school districts in CISA 3 that had it, cause that was something that was brought up a couple times at my CISA 3 meetings, and I know, Platteville, they looked specifically at like their 4K. They got in trouble because they did not have the menu posted as you walked into the lunch line, and I'm like,
They can't read.
exactly, that was his point, but they were like, DPI doesn't care, that's a rule, you have to have the lunch menu posted here, even if you can't read it. So that's one thing they got in trouble for was What's your lunch menu?
So the state of Wisconsin pays probably a group of people to run around counting milks and all their public schools. I mean, I've always, it's blown my mind that people are fans of the voucher program, but when you look at how public schools are forced to spend taxpayer dollars, you're thinking, oh.
Well, the voucher program should have to do the same thing. They're-
I know.
That's right. They should. Oh, my
It's the
God.
voucher one.
Well, thank you, Allison. Andy, any other
Nope, I let it go.
insanity you want?
No, those are the highlights.
Wow.
The best of the best.
All right, next up then, last thing on the informational agenda, by now familiar, our breakdown of the activity fund accounts. Where I'll remind everybody, and part because it doesn't still make any sense to me, but negative balances are good and positive balances are bad.
True.
Yes, and right now we do have 5 clubs that have positive balances, which are bad. So I have just sent them all emails, just kind of come up with a plan of action of what are we gonna do to rectify this, kind of look at fundraisers, what's the plan, things like that.
You must have a negative balance in your account.
Yeah,
Yearbook?
that's always one thing that's fun to explain to any new advisors is when I give them these, or I shouldn't say I, because Becky's taking over it. Is you want negative balances, which doesn't make sense, but it's really the school showing that this is money that we owe that club technically.
Yeah, forensics, I mean,
Yeah, and there's 2 of them there, forensics is one, and that don't have any credits at all this year, they're just spending money that they had before, now is that, those are the ones I'd be concerned about, you can't spend money if you don't have any, you know what I mean?
Forensics has spent like on some supplies for their entry fees, things like that. So it's just gonna be a conversation with that, and I know that they had quite a big surplus for a while, and now they've spent
Which
it
one
down,
are we talking now?
forensics. So
What do they need an activity account for anyway? I don't get
They
that.
went to state and stuff, does that count?
Yeah.
They had a lot of kids going to state this year.
So like you said.
And it's an
entry fee-
extracurricular activity, but we don't fund any of
Yeah,
that,
that's
we
what I
pay
was-
transportation to get the. ball
we do
games
with some
everywhere.
of it, some of the expenses go in there and some of them the school pays for,
What
a lot of it is
expenses,
like-
I'd be interested in what expenses, I know that this is not really the point of this,
yeah.
but.
Do they
we
have
to
to
be
pay
fair
like
between these.
entrance fees for forensics events? I don't,
Some of that,
my
if it's a-
wife's the advisor, I don't know anything about it.
Well, they should, it would be interesting to know.
Does that
what-
come out of the activity account though for them?
No, I wouldn't
most of
think
what
so.
comes out of the activity fund account is like if they are there for an overnight longer day and they get a meal. The
Okay,
activity
that's
fund will
what
pay
I
for the
was,
meal.
that's
When
what
they-
I,
When they
That's-
buy.
that's what I
meals
had
for
in my
kids.
head, but
Yeah,
then I
for
was
the
like,
kids, like
okay.
it's this.
Yeah,
group
That
of
makes,
that I
it was like
can say
extra, like
is
paying for
we're
this for
gonna
the
pay.
kids or, and, you know,
Yeah.
not the
Yeah, they didn't get
actual
back to like 10.
entry fees
Yeah.
and stuff, cause yeah, that should be taken care of,
Right,
just like the
exactly.
other stuff.
Okay,
Okay, that makes more sense, alright,
and yearbook is kind of another special one, we used to subsidize, I don't know if do we still subsidize that?
Yeah.
Other
Yes.
than paying an advisor, we actually, okay,
yeah.
Yep.
so.
They probably have money coming in to keep buying them, aren't they?
Yeah.
Has she given you a fair amount of stuff so far or no?
Well, a lot of it was done online, but if somebody did do it online, we get some here
Okay.
and there, yeah, so.
And I know we
Well,
sold a lot of
they
yearbooks,
still
so that
sell
was good.
ads and that kind of thing and stuff too.
I think so.
Yes.
And that's-
I think that's all part of through Jocelyn's stuff.
Very good, that brings us right down. Anybody else have any questions on the activity funds? Brings us down, I believe, to superintendent's report.
Kim?
Is this gonna be Kim tonight?
I already went to bed.
Yeah, I did not go to bed, but it is getting darker in my room. I first want to apologize. I got emotional to start. I just want my life back so badly. And so a taste of it made me emotional, but I just want to acknowledge that I've been in constant collaboration with Marla and Allison and Aaron and Andy and Scott. They keep me updated and include me in discussions about responses to ongoing issues and day-to-day dynamics of their work. I deeply appreciate the additional responsibilities they've taken on at this time. And I don't really have anything to add, other that I am focusing on getting as healthy as I can, just so I can get back as quickly as I possibly can.
We look forward to getting you back, Kim.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I do have one superintendent report thing. A couple of you I told it was kind of funny, but anyway, so through this process, we get these emails of things to show up to and be in and whatever else.
Oh, no, this is good. This is awesome.
So,
That kind of did it.
so, you know, we're like, okay, do we really need to go to this? You know, do you think we need to show Andy? Should one of us be there to hear this or join in this webinar or whatever? So we get this email and it's about this roundtable going on in Richland Center, and it was sent to everybody, you know, out there, and it's gonna be the Lieutenant Governor and Brad Path and Sarah Kieski, and they're gonna, you know, discuss all the federal funding and all the changes with everything and whatever. And so Andy and I talked, and they're like, yeah, one of us should go. I'm like, all right, well, I'll go. He's like, okay, good.
No, I said, you never get out of the building. You should
That's
go.
true. So he did, you know, I'm like, all right, fine. So I emailed the lady back. I just said, hi, this is Aaron from Kickapoo. I'll plan to be there tomorrow. All right, great, thank you. So in my head, I'm just thinking I'm going to show up and I'm going to be one of 50 people in education that are there and whatever else. And I get done with softball practice and I get in the truck and I look at my emails and there's an email from the lady. And she said, thank you everyone for participating tomorrow. It's going to be a great day. We're really excited. The Lieutenant Governor is going to be there, da, da, da. Here is the run of show for tomorrow. Johnny is talking about this. Aaron Midham from the Kickapoo School District will talk about federal school funding. And I'm like, what? I'm like, totally freaking out. I'm like, I didn't sign up for this. Like, I didn't say anything about anything. So the lady leaves the number, and keep in mind, this was Wednesday night. It's tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. I'm like, okay, like, so I text, she had a number, I texted her, I'm like, hi Sarah, this is Aaron. I must have somehow gotten confused because I don't know any ever discussion of, I was leading the discussion for all the superintendents on federal funding.
And then he calls me. So at 5:30, I get a phone call from Aaron and I'm like, this can't be good. So I hit it and I'm go, yeah. And then he goes, did you get that email? That doesn't make me feel any better.
So anyway, long story short, she's like, I'm sorry, nobody else signed up, so I put you on there. Like, okay, so I went and I actually talked. I think I had some pretty good points, talked about vouchers a little bit, just talked about funding, talked about what things look like. So it was good. I mean, there were only like 25 or 30 people there.
Lieutenant Governor didn't
So,
make it anyway, right?
She was there,
Oh, she was,
yeah.
okay.
So anyway, it was kind of humorous. It ended up going okay. It was fine, but yeah, it was kind of, I was like, what? Like, zero discussion of anything, like, of the run of the show. So anyway, that was my one point that I thought I would hit on, but yeah, it was actually good. I mean, it gave an opportunity to kind of talk about just the funding with things and how that's gonna look like and that element to stuff. And it was interesting to hear, you know, people at the table because everybody came from a little different avenue. You know, we came from the school aspect of the anticipation part. I mean, it hasn't directly been cut yet, but we're looking at it and saying, what is this going to look like if and when it does get cut? And then you had some of the businesses there and they're like, we already have this applied to our business and this is the cost of what we are now trying to sell and recoup, and it is not really functional. And I talked right after the lady who led the Head Start program, and they've already been cut. And so what I had planned to talk about was just the element of how difficult it's going to be for us if we have $800 and some thousand cut, and how to educate special ed kids and what we're going to do. And then she got done talking and I was like, wow, you just added a whole new layer to what I was just going to say, because I'm looking at this kids from 5 on to educate, and now those kids who will have absolutely 0 services from 3 to 5 are going to come even that much further behind, and that's going to make this element even exacerbated even more. And then that's when Senator Kieski said, she goes, a lot more people in prison. I mean, that's exactly what she said. And I was kind of like, wow, but you know, it was kind of interesting, you know, but everybody had a little different avenue. Some had some where they were already experiencing it. Some people were just anticipating and worried, like, what's this gonna look like and what's it gonna happen? Some people had, you know, partial of it implemented, and so it was interesting, but it was good. So anyway, that's my little story.
Well, I'm glad it went well, but I'm astounded somebody puts a meeting together. And
Yeah,
I'll just tell Aaron.
and I did ask about the voucher thing.
So you've
and I-
been telling me.
And I just said, you know, I said, it's not really, I said, they don't have to follow any of the same rules. They don't have, you know, I said, is there ever a point that you can just put this and take it so that it goes on a ballot, just like other states who have voted it out? She said, it'd be great to think, but I can tell you if I tried to do that right now, it wouldn't go anywhere. even towards-
Wisconsin doesn't even have a route
You know?
for anybody
Yeah.
except the legislature
So-
to put that stuff on.
Chris said that she had in the meeting.
Yeah, so they would have to do it, yeah.
Yeah, so anyway, there was at least an answer to understand, like, okay, why, you know, because obviously if it comes to a vote and you go to the booth and say, you know, hey, do you support voucher schools in the state? And you answer no, but she said it won't even ever even begin to
No.
get there.
Because they know what the answer is gonna be. I
Right,
mean, every state that's voted on it, it has not been close.
right.
I mean, people, and so I don't wanna jump in, but everybody who has this on, I'm gonna go through it, but we talked it in the PLA meeting that it sounds like this Russ Cava is a new, I think, assembly person. So he put together all the schools that went to referendum, and then the cost of not being funded correctly for special education, and then the choice aid reduction. So you can kind of look at amount and total that, you know, it's pretty clear why people are having to go to referendum. So that's what this is.
Is choice aid reduction, how much is the open
Voucher.
enrollment out, or is that?
No, vouchers.
That's vouchers,
Vouchers.
okay, I took it as maybe the open enrollment out, because I'm not here.
No, that's vouchers.
The choice program is, but you're right, if it's 91,000, then that's exactly what it was.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I don't want to jump in, but that's what this is, just for your information, and, you know, we talked a little bit at the PLA meeting.
Well, moving on then.
You're on a roll, keep going.
Okay, well, with that, one of the things I had, and I think I talked about it with a few people who were in here earlier, but I know that Chris has been working with, you know, some of the other schools and people just as far as our voucher wording, and Chris Shulo, who is Megan Shulo's mom, has joined that part with her and just came in and asked today, like, hey, is this okay if we share the school's language when we go to some of these other schools? And I said, I think we've already, Kim, you could comment on that, but I think we've already shared it, you know what I mean, with lots of people.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's an issue, but if everybody's okay, I just would get back to her and say, sure, go ahead, you know what I mean, if you're going
That
out to
was our
schools.
intent.
No, yeah,
Share,
absolutely.
share the language and let them know. There's one thing, principal stuff, end of the year, it's pretty much just survival mode with things right now, everything going on and graduation and trips and everything, and trying to get the end of the year stuff done. Graduation, I've got both, so we're covered for high school. Can anybody help out or willing to help out for 8th grade? If not, it's not the end of the world. It's not like,
What date is that?
that is June 3rd. It's that Tuesday.
I'll have to look.
Just check. If not, again, it's not, I think the high school one is obviously, you know, if we can get somebody there,
You don't have to
great.
speak, right?
Nope, you don't have to speak. You just have to hand out the diplomas. So just, if anybody can get back to me, let me know. If not, we'll go from there, but, Bo, I'll touch base about specifics with high school. Class numbers, talked about that. We'll bring that to the June meeting. So we're just about done with scheduling and getting that done. And other than that, just wanted to, the phone policy, we'll communicate with that before the end of the year, and it's what I have. Any questions?
The Booster Club on Friday is having a school carnival, everything's outside. Sam Goodwin puts a lot of time into that, it's gonna be a lot like when they did the Halloween party in the fall, so that's on Wednesday. WASB sent me a request, they're doing, a video around the state. They're going to different schools to have some kids speak on on public schools. And they had a script and they asked if there were some kids who would do that. And I had a meeting with him and he said, I'll get back to you. And that was 2 weeks ago. So I don't know what's going on, if they're actually doing it or not. They wanted small schools, big schools, and he had her name, and that was one that Marla sent. I think that went to Kim that they sent on to us. So there's a chance that we might get a little pub for Kickapoo if he calls me back. Track and field day was today. There will be sunburned and ornery kids tomorrow in the elementary, if you'd like to come watch those. The elementary concert is this coming Wednesday night, a week from tonight. And a shout out to Dustin and Sam, especially Sam, for all the time they put into the track and field day. She gets the seniors to lead the groups around. They have all kinds of activities on the inside, or on the inside of the track, where they wheelbarrow races and tug of war and everything else. And I said before, summer school numbers up to 163. So that's more than we've had in the past. So we're gonna keep trying to get more and more kids in. And then we'll just make her to the end of the year. Any questions? Nope.
Thank you both. Then we'll convene the closed session pursuant to Wisconsin State Statute 19.85, paragraph 1, part C. Considering employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility. Also, 19.85 part F and 118.125 for the purpose of discussing a student expulsion appeal and student concern. Tonight's purposes: 25-26 support staff pay, elementary teacher positions, employee leave, summer softball and baseball coaches and volunteers, and an expulsion appeal and student concern. I'll entertain a motion to convene in closed session.
I would make a motion that we leave the closed session.
Second.
Motion by Earl, second by Bo. Thank you both, and we'll do a roll call vote for this, Marla, please.
Rich Jeans,
Yes.
Bo Schrader,
Yes.
Peggy McCormick,
Yes.
Janet Mathis,
Yes.
Earl Wallace.
Yes.
Isaac, were you able to log on?
I'm here and yes.
Hey.
Scott Walker.
Yes. Okay, we're back in open session and we've got some business to deal with, Earl.
Motion to approve, support staff pay as presented by Ellison.
I'll second it.
Motion by Earl, second by Janet. All in favor?
Aye.
Sure.
Okay, make motion to approve the hiring of 2 elementary people, Amy Clemens and Cassidy Green.
Are we including Tanya in this too?
You wanna talk-
Andy? She's.
Technically, yeah, I
Yeah.
think we should.
And
Yeah.
Tanya
Leatherman.
Leatherman.
I'll second it.
Motion by Earl, second by Janet. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion to, for the following for summer softball and baseball staff. 14 under to 10 and under, Lori Kaufman for softball coach. T-ball is Dustin Clemens, coach. 8 and under is Bo Schrader. Helpers. Kayla Kaufman, Harmony Wigner, Maddie Townsend, and Kat Townsend. Summer baseball staff, 12 and under, Ken Crean's coach. 14 and under is Ryan Wiggle, and 10 and under is Rhett Wiggle. Ewing and Jackson Strikes as high school helpers. Subs are Dustin Clemens and Jake Gerke.
Motion by Earl, second by somebody else.
Me,
Rich. To approve summer softball and baseball coaches and volunteers. All in favor?
I,
I'm going
Opposed?
to abstain from this one. Since my
Okay.
child is one of them.
Wonderful. One abstention then. Anybody opposed? Then motion passes. Leaving us with one motion to hit the table yet tonight. Motion by Janet that we adjourn, second
Marlon
by
needs
Earl.
his back.
Thank you, everybody.
Have a good night, everybody. Yeah, they're gonna quote.
Thank you.
Rose was second to the last one.
She adjourned, yeah.
Oh,
good night, Kim, Peggy.
I,
Thanks,
Yeah, I think